Welcome to Secure the Bag Week 10 NFL Picks. It's your boy A-Dub.
Hey, boys, welcome back, Slack fam.
Yes, another week in the NFL, man. We're getting to that, past the halfway point, man. It's pretty crazy, but I feel like we're kind of dialing in on these teams a little bit. And even though there's been some tricky results, I'm feeling pretty good about this week, man. There's some close calls, but I'm ready to share my opinions, and I want to see what you're thinking as well. But before we get into it, I just want to welcome everybody or remind everybody to come and join our Yahoo. We give out a a Super Bowl square to whoever wins the pick 'em each week. So please join that. You can hit our link in bio or the video description, and you can join us there. And shout out to our boy Franklin for winning last week, his second win of the year. So a couple Super Bowl squares going his way. As far as last week goes, we both tied at 11. This is our third week in a row of tying, but it's very interesting how when we go against each other, we're always like 50-50, right? So we always come back to the middle because we don't always have the same picks, but we've ended up with the same score now 3 weeks in a row. So
wow.
Crazy how that works out for sure. But
still ain't got the dub either.
Yeah, exactly. Neither of us. And now this is pretty crazy where it's like it's a little bit embarrassing as far as like the host side, but also it's very heartwarming and like proud moment as far as our slackers, because our slackers that compete with us continue to raise the bar. So that makes us, you know what I'm saying, that keeps us on our toes. So that's what's up. And if you're watching this live or later on, don't be afraid to drop your picks and your locks in the comments along the way. But Strizzy, I'm going to have you lead us off, and let's go ahead and knock this thing out, starting with Thursday Night Football. We've got the Bengals at the Ravens.
Yeah, man, I'm taking my Ravens. This was a really close game a couple of weeks ago in Cincinnati. Pretty much took some Lamar magic to kind of come back and win that game. But for some reason, I'm not feeling the close game this time around. I think the spread is like 5.5, 6 points or so favorite for the Ravens, and I like them to cover too. I like the Ravens in this.
Yeah, I like the Ravens pretty big as well. I feel like since that game, like you said, was pretty close, but the Ravens have found more of their identity, and the Bengals, they're basically just holding on to see if their season's going to have any relevancy or not.
Mm-hmm.
But in a short week, especially, I just like the Ravens. I think they're built a little bit better, and then the Bengals defense is still a struggle despite their offense putting up a lot of points this last week. So I'm going with the Ravens as well. Moving into Sunday morning, we've got our first Germany game of the year. We got the Giants at your Panthers.
Yeah, this one's tricky. You know what I'm saying? It's not really it's not really a home game for either team, you know what I'm saying? And, I feel like, unfortunately, I feel like the Panthers are the type of team that allow the team with the Giants to come in there and make them look better than what they are, you know what I'm saying? Because the defense has been atrocious. As tricky as this one is for me, like I think I am going to take the Giants in this one. I think the Panthers just need to prove a little bit more to me, and so I'm taking the Giants.
Yeah, man, I feel you. This one's really a toss-up. I feel like I don't know, I guess, what Germany did to deserve this other than, way back, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So maybe this is some kind of payback for some old thing. But yeah, I actually might go – I think I'm going to go with the Panthers. I might change my opinion, but I think maybe the Panthers being buoyed off of that win against the Saints, and Bryce Young, not tremendous, but not terrible enough to at least keep the start. Yeah. I'm putting a little bit of faith in him. I think that they go out there and do this, but yeah, this one's a toss-up, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to Sunday morning traditional games. We got the Patriots at the Bears.
It's not tricky for me too. I feel like the Bears' offense has been really struggling lately, and that's something you probably really don't want to do against a team that's pretty decent when it comes to defense. You know what I mean, or at least for scheming for one. But they are in Chicago, so I am going to go with the home team. I think from an offensive standpoint, the Bears still are better. They do have more weapons, so I'm going with the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bears as well. I think they need to step it up, man. I think that Commanders Hail Mary thing kind of threw them off a little bit and maybe shook their confidence. This is a chance for them to get right and to kind of save their season. Obviously, they're probably not competing with the Packers or the Vikings or the Lions really in their division, so that's tough. But I feel like that they can still accomplish something. Drake May, though, we got to watch him, man. He's been dynamic as a playmaker and running the ball. He's just got to protect himself a little bit better. But this is more closer matchup of another one of those matchups of like the number 1 pick versus the number 3 pick. So
yeah,
very interesting to see how that plays out. Next up, we got a tricky one, the 49ers at the Bucks.
Yeah, this one's definitely a tricky one. I think the 49ers coming off the bye, and we've heard a lot of things about Christian McCaffrey potentially returning. after the bye week. Still don't know if that's the true yet. You know what I mean? But excuse me. But this one is tricky. I think I'm going to see the 49ers in this game. Kind of tough to see the Buccaneers lose twice in a row, but I think the 49ers are really trying to get back on track and get back to their winning ways.
Yeah, man. I want to pick the Bucs in this game so bad, but I got to go with the 49ers based off of two of the points you said. Them coming off the bye week, they're always strong after the bye week. They always take a step back and figure stuff out, and they have a great coaching staff in that. And if Christian McCaffrey returns. If he does return, he'll be full go. I do have some trust issues with them there because up until like the day of that Monday night game, they're acting like he was going to play, and then he ends up being out for 9 weeks. It's pretty crazy. But I am going with the 49ers. I just think this will be a really close game and fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
Next up, we got the Broncos at the Chiefs.
I'll tell you, man, I think Kansas City is going to lose to a really bad team. And the Broncos aren't even that bad, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if it's this week, especially at Arrowhead, but I am picking the Chiefs for now. But this could upset alert. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a feeling they're going to lose, and they're going to lose to a team that you wouldn't normally expect them to lose to.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs as well, but I am weary, you know what I'm saying, because there is going to be a landmine out there on their schedule, a game that they're not expecting to lose that they will. I just feel like the dominance in the division is going to help them out with this one, though, so I feel like it's going to be somewhere outside of the division. Still going with the Chiefs in this one, but yeah, a closer game than we probably would think. Next up, we got the Bills at the Colts.
Bills all the way for this one. I think the Colts are still trying to figure some things out. Obviously, they've gone with Joe Flacco on the quarterback route. But I still don't think it's enough. They're struggling kind of everywhere on the offense right now, and the Bills aren't. So, Indy or Buffalo, I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills, their only struggles seemingly have been like slow starts. Yeah. And I feel like it's against teams that know them well or can kind of scheme against them. But the Colts, Bills is kind of a random matchup. I expect the Bills to roll in this one. Not much to say really about the Colts and their season so far,
Yeah.
It was interesting, though. One thing I will say, the trade deadline, apparently there were some people calling about Anthony Richardson, but they weren't willing to give him up just yet.
Yeah, saw that.
So maybe next year for him. Okay, a very interesting game. The Steelers at the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, man, I like the Commanders in this one. I think, they want to get their offense back on go. And I think to do that at home against the Steelers, I think so. We'll be talking a little bit about Russell Wilson and, how long is it going to, take him before we kind of see, like Pop said at Best Think Tuesday, it's early, it's with him as a starter. Not early in the season, but early with him as a starter. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Washington so far this year has been real good to me in terms of picking them. So I'm going Washington.
Yeah, this is one where I don't know, man. I'm so torn in this game because Washington has been great, but I feel like they're playing almost better than like what they should. And I feel like they don't have like that quality win yet. Like I feel like they don't have that win over like a really good team. This will be their first test. So I'm actually going with the Steelers in this one in kind of an upset. Just because I feel like Jaden Daniels hasn't seen a defense quite like this. And Russell Wilson, he's still got a couple more weeks before he really goes lame duck. So I'm going with the Steelers in this one, but I think it will be a very close one for sure. I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
Should be.
All right, next up we have the Vikings at the Jaguars.
Vikings in this one. Jags are just really bad, and it's kind of crazy to think about how bad they've been, like, say, like the last 2 years before, that crazy comeback victory in the playoffs, just literally 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So, they had that playoff victory, little playoff run. They came back on the Chargers. Last year they were bad. I don't think they made it. And then this year they're probably definitely not going to make it. So, I don't know. Interesting to see the direction with this team, but I'm definitely going with the Vikings. They're definitely the better team here.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings as well. The Jags, they seemingly have pieces, but they never can really put it all together. They just have glimpses, and a lot of times it's them coming back late in the fourth quarter to make it seem like a closer game than it really is on the field. So I'm definitely going with the Vikings in this one. I think they got enough to cover it. Next up, we have the Falcons at the Saints.
Yeah, Saints just fired their head coach, and the Falcons right now are they're rolling. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine they lose this game. So I'm definitely going with the Falcons in this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm going with the Falcons, And, it's crazy, but this is kind of what Raheem Morris envisioned when he was coming there. I wasn't sure if it was all going to come together the way it has, but Kirk Cousins worked out, you know what I'm saying? Even though he's not very mobile, he's slinging the ball. They have weapons. They have running backs. So, and then they have enough on defense to stay competitive. So I definitely think that they're going to win this game, and this is their biggest step towards, kind of potentially clinching the division.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see. But yeah, I like the Falcons in this one. Also, we got Pops in the building. Good afternoon, Pops. He said he got stuck in a meeting. It's all good.
I heard that.
Yeah, exactly. Same. But we appreciate you being here with us. Moving on, we've got the Titans at the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers with this one. They've been sneaky good. You know what I mean? We're not talking about them. We're not hearing about them. It's just they're gradually winning on a week-to-week basis, and the defense is actually pretty good. And I feel like the Titans don't have enough offense to get through that defense. And I just think, as they continue to move on, it's just more time for Herbert to get his new offensive weapons involved. There's a lot of new pieces here, so I'm going Chargers.
Yeah, me too. You said it best, man. They've been sneaky good. Their defense is really good, holding teams down. And that offense, we know Herbert is very gifted. We know he's talented. It's just a matter of what that can come together. And especially, too, it's kind of been disappointing their run game. Harbaugh teams usually lean on the run game, but they haven't had that with the two ex-Vikings, not ex-Ravens that are always injured. Yeah. So, I really like what Ladd McConkey's doing, some of their offensive weapons. So they're getting it together. The Chargers are kind of a sneaky good team, like you said. So I'm definitely picking them at home in this one.
Yeah, if they can keep that defense together, I could really see them going running back in the first round, depending on where they draft. But yeah, right now they're holding on to two guys who are a little injury prone and probably not at the best of shape right now.
Exactly. All right, next up, a game that we never thought would be as interesting as it will be, the Jets at the Cardinals.
I know, right? It's crazy to me, man. It's so hard because I feel like I still don't – I like what the Cardinals have been able to do the last, 2 weeks, but I still don't fully trust them, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely don't trust the Jets. So I'm going Cardinals with this one. Hopefully they can keep winning. Anytime I can see an Aaron Rodgers-type team lose, I'm all for it. So, I'm taking our hometown Cardinals on this one.
Yeah, me too, man. 3-game winning streak, and they're looking like they could be for real. As long as they get some kind of pass rush, I almost wish, if I was rooting for them for sure, if I was a fan of them, I wanted them to add another pass rusher at the trade deadline because that's really where the only thing that they're really, really lacking, especially on defense. But I like what the Cardinals are doing. And the Jets, they beat the Texans, but I think it's a little bit of fool's gold. A long road trip. I'm picking the Cardinals, and it's crazy. Before the season, this would have been a no-brainer, but things have changed. All right, next up, we've got the Eagles at the Cowboys, America's team.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like this game's gonna be a little trickier than a lot of people think because Cooper Rush is gonna be the quarterback and not Dak Prescott. But I don't think I was hoping the Dallas Cowboys would come through against the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? I think the Falcons are a little less of a team than the Eagles right now. So I don't think the Eagles are super crazy, either. But they are good. They do have a great record. I think they are leading the division currently. But I'm taking the Eagles, man. That I think that loss last week to the Falcons really kind of cemented it for me on regards to what this Dallas team is this season. And I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles as well. I think they're just going to have much too much on offense. And then on defense, they're going to have enough to hold this Cowboys team down. Really, it's taken over-the-top performances from Dak and CD to keep them even competitive.
Yeah.
And without Dak there, I agree Cooper Rush is steady, but Cooper Rush was always steady in the past with the play-action game, with a running game to kind of help support him. This Cowboys offense, they have no balance. So they're going to be predictable, and the Eagles are going to be ready for them. So I think it's going to get ugly. I'm just hoping that the Cowboys can win a couple more games this year, but really I think this will be the worst record in a very, very long time. So,
all
right, Sunday Night Football. We've got the Lions at the Texans.
This game can be fun, man. For some reason, when teams go on too long of winning streaks, it's always kind of when they're going to lose one. I think that might be this week. I think the Texans are going to get them. Even though I talk about the Lions being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC, I feel like for some reason them losing last week to the Jets, sour taste in their mouth. And like I said, at a certain point in time, Lions got to come back down to earth for a game. So I'm going Texans in this one, but it's not really a I think they're gonna necessarily win pick. It's more of a like how the NFL kind of turns out sometimes, you know what I'm saying, type pick. So I'm going Texans.
Yeah, man, I kind of feel you on that one. Like I think this might be like a like a weird upset. I am gonna go with the Lions for now, but I think it's gonna be a close one. I think it's definitely an upset alert. But the Texans, man, I just still think I don't know why. I mean, Joe Mixon is their workhorse, but it's just not quite enough right now, and they need a little bit more from the receivers. So I wish that they were more healthy on that side of it to compete, but I think this is going to be a really good one. And Pops agrees with you. He says Texans in a close one.
So I have this gut feeling about this game, kind of the same way I had against the Jets last week, where I was just like, there's no way Jets to be favored against the Texans, and they were. So like the Texans are still the underdog in this game, but I don't know. For some reason, I got a feeling they're gonna win this one.
Yeah,
even though they don't really need it because they're definitely gonna win their division.
yeah, for sure. Going back to that Cowboys game, Pop says report is Dak's hamstring tore off the bone. He is done for the season.
Crazy.
Dang. That hurts, man. You know, I'm one of the biggest Dak supporters you could probably ever find. Yeah. I would say Dak apologist. Maybe I make too many excuses for Dak, but I love that guy, man, and I hate to see him go down like that. I really feel like though maybe this is a blessing in disguise because some changes have got to come for the Cowboys. Yeah. I think this is going to be their worst record probably since I think it was like 2015 when they ended up getting Ezekiel Elliott and Dak and kind of changing the fortunes. I feel like something is needed like that, a shakeup and definitely a new coach. So we'll see, man, but it's kind of tank mode. Okay, Monday Night Football, we've got the Dolphins traveling to LA to meet the Rams.
Yeah, it's weird. Ever since Tua came back, I've been kind of like waiting for for the Dolphins to kind of be back the way their offense has been the last 2 years with him. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't had that yet. Maybe call us a rust or something, like getting kind of back into game shape after being out for so many weeks for Tua, but I'm not seeing it. You know what I mean? And they didn't trade him, but they were talking about possibly trading Tyreek Hill. So I don't know if they've just kind of packed it in or whatever, but I'm going Rams in this one. I don't know. For some reason, Dolphins are kind of off them this season too so far.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the luster, the magic of McDaniel's offense was kind of not there even with Tua being healthy because Tua came back and surprisingly didn't look like he missed too much. It's really just that they can't generate those same big plays. So I'm definitely going with the Rams in this one. And I think the Rams are kind of like sneakily building some momentum, man. They have some good wins and they're getting their guys back, Puka last week he got ejected because he kind of lost his head a little bit. I think he's going to come back very motivated to have a good game in this one. And all that Rams defense is starting to get pass rush from their rookie Jared Verse, and that really helped because that's the one thing they were missing after losing Donald. So I'm kind of liking the Rams as like a little like sneaky type contender. So that's what's up. All right, that's the full slate of games. Next, we'll talk about our bets against the spread, our locks against the spread. But we always like to remind that this is not actual betting advice. We're just picking on the money line side who we think is going to win and then bringing you 3 locks against the spread. And so, Strizzy, I'll start with you. You picked up 1 bag last week but had a couple of close calls. Let's talk about yours for this week.
Yeah, this week was actually really tricky, man. I think I didn't really like a lot of the spreads, if I'm being honest. Like some of them were kind of big, but like I said, I did like Washington in this one. This kind of comes off to me as a game that they can win by 3. It'll be close, like you said. It's probably their first big test, and I think primarily it'll be their biggest test from a defensive and a coaching standpoint of who they're playing. But I really like Washington this week for some reason, and hopefully they'll come through for me. Same thing earlier, talking about the Texans possibly winning this game, but I feel like 3.5. I think they'll still be able to keep it close at home. They're very good at home. So tough fought game. If they do end up losing, I could see them losing by 2-3 points.
Nice.
And then Panthers. I talked about the Giants winning this game, on the money line, but I felt like by a touchdown in Germany, I feel like neither one of these teams are very good. So I thought, if the Panthers can just either stick with the New York Giants offense, which also isn't very good, maybe we get into a shootout with these teams. Overtime, something like they're just not going to win by 7, So I have a feeling Panthers can at least stay within 6.5.
I like it. All right, going with the Commanders. as a favorite, and then the Texans and the Panthers as underdogs. A rough week for me last week. I missed on all of my bags, a few by just a point or two, which that's really how it goes. But I agree with you. Like, looking at this one really quickly too, I kind of ran out of time to do my research on this on the actual spreads, and just looking at a glance I think Vegas has got this one dialed in. So I think it's going to be very close. But I like the Bills by 4 against the Colts. I feel like they should have enough to handle that. Again, as long as they don't have a slow start, they should have plenty of weapons to kind of take them out. I like the Falcons by 4 again. I would have preferred 3 or 2.5 in this one just because it's a division opponent, but I feel like the Saints are a mess, and I feel like firing their coach, they're not going to get that little in-season boost from an interim coach like that. Not in this one. So I'm going with the Falcons by 4. And then I like you. I feel you. I think I'm going with the Panthers outright on this one, but 6.5 to the Giants. I just don't see the Giants being a 6.5 point favorite against anybody, even a college team. You know what I'm saying? So I think that going all the way to Germany, the Panthers aren't going to go out like that. I feel like they're going to win this game, if not at least make it close. So those are my 3 locks for the week. And then really quickly looking at our records for the year, very close on the money line side. And on the locks, we're falling off the pace a little bit. But again, it's very tough. They don't build those casinos for nothing. You know what I'm saying? they build it off of having those lines right and getting the advantage a lot of times. So we're doing our thing, though. We're going to keep sticking with it and bringing you those locks. But that is our picks for this week. I know we only have like a couple minutes before we want to get out of here, but do you have anything special for tonight's Ravens Bengals? Any player props you like or anybody you think will stand out?
I don't know, man. My gut's telling me Lamar night tonight. Yeah, I feel like Lamar's going to have a big game today. So I'm liking his over on rushing yards. Actually, kind of well over. I think he's going to have one of those games where, like, I think he usually comes in at about like 49.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have one of those like 70+ type nights for some reason, and possible, definitely got anytime touchdown as well, as he's going to run one in. But then also, as bad as the secondary has been for the Ravens, even though they just picked up, some secondary help by getting Trey White at the deadline. I like Jamar Chase as well for his over on receiving yards as well, because I don't think that's right now they don't have anyone who can stop him. So Jamar Chase for his over on his reception yards.
I like that. Yeah, I definitely think those are some great call outs. And for some reason too, with it being a Lamar night, I like Zay Flowers. I feel like he has consistently hit his overs for yards, and he's scored a lot of touchdowns. So I can see him having one as well this week. So that's our little insights for Thursday night player props. But again, we'll be back on Tuesday to break down all of the games and as well as all the news and events in the world of sports. And then we'll be back next week for our picks again. But until then, hit us up on that Yahoo League, compete with us, and keep rocking with us. We're here for you. That is Secure the Bag for week 10. It's your boy A-Dub.
And your boy Strizzy.
Peace.